This serves its purpose fairly well, and that's what I do is I take it and put it on a amp pedal. And then re-edit and fade something that I found my leg away for a while back, 3 months ago. Welcome to Charterhouse.
What is it?
It's Henry F. Miller. It's out of New York. I've had a lot of trouble with it so far. It's got a strange action.
And if so, if you've got the set, I'll run them back real fast. Oh, phone's over in the corner, Peter. Oh, right over there.
I heard the country, but he said just pick up the country on.
Yeah, I did.
So what time is it? So let's go down to the queue right away. See, so,
They need him right away?
yeah, actually,
Yeah, listen, we could do a little bit here, and he could take them, and then when he comes back,
actually, maybe if we want to do this sort of, because I know we're going to start actually.
Okay, he can start right now with that.
Is that all right?
sure.
Oh, my pleasure, please. I'll be back in 10 minutes.
Thanks a lot.
I'll fly up.
I can't join that because I did the work for Canada and I should take on hotels. You know, it didn't work too well.
Wait. Yeah, it's on.
Oh, so we just say,
Like I said, it won't be the whole,
right.
won't be the whole tape. So. I'll trip over my words or something. It's just because this is the most nervous moment of my life.
Oh.
No, okay, getting back, first of all, whatever made you get interested in the music itself and make it a professional thing?
Well, I used to just enjoy writing songs, you know, just for pleasure in my own time. And so then was the idea of forming a group, and really, well, it was really at that time a group just to sell songs. We thought we didn't want to get bothered with trudging around the road all the time. You know, you get other studios to do that. But
Now this
we're our own studios.
This was who? Starting off.
That was Tony Banks, Michael Rutherford, Anthony Phillips and myself. And so Tony Banks and I had written some songs, and Michael and Anthony had written some songs.
Now you
And
went
so
to
those are separate pairs. And this was all at school, right? And so
this
we...
was in high school, this was in college, or university.
no, this is a sort of equivalent to high school. Well, except it was a
boarding
private school, right, which is the opposite of what it is over here, I think. Expensive, upper class, bourgeois.
All your parents were wealthy.
Yeah.
This helped them in getting the money for the equipment.
Initially we had £650 worth, which is about
£650.
yeah, it's about
So that's about 2,000.
no, less than that, about $1,500. Yeah. Just to get an organ, basically. And but that wasn't until later on. You see, initially it was with the Pop 30 type intentions of hit single after hit single that we got together. The nearest we ever got to a hit single was one cover version by Rita Pavoni's brother in Italy, and that sort of disappeared much in the way all the rest of our stuff did.
Now, how old were you when you started the band, when you started playing out, and when you first cut from Genesis to Revelation?
We were sort of between 16 and 18 age group.
You were still in college,
Yeah.
just getting out of school.
Should I turn on the buzzer?
Yes. Did you notice the painting on the wall?
Oh, which one? Was that?
On the inside wall? From
No, I haven't.
nursery crime, right?
Right.
Okay.
I'm blind.
Bit of a, I enjoy doing things like that.
Yes, I'm getting drunk.
Alright. Okay, so you were 16 to 18 when you cut the first album. How much did it cost, or how did you get together for the
It
recording?
was very cheaply made. We just, and it was the production company who paid for it. It was Jonathan King, Joe Roncaroni, and they then did a release tape deal to Decca Records. It was, again still in the song stage. We had one number which was Adventurous, which is about 11 minutes, which are Pride and Joy, and unfortunately, it was called The Movement at that stage, but only about 30 seconds of it got onto that first album, because that's all the producer liked or thought was commercial.
What song would that be after
But it's just
that? On the album?
the only bit of it that's left is A Place to Call My Own on the album, which is very short. But it was really a nice thing, I think. It was acoustic, some bongos. We were very acoustic orientated. In fact, the advertisement that Phil answered for drums, I think, said must be sensitive to acoustic music, or able to play bongos or something like this. And we had a sort of set audition piece, with thousands of drummers, rather than go through the
whole
sort of
trial
agonies
of
of getting to know people and saying that they're not good enough or whatever it is. We just developed a series of tests, and then if they got through that lot, then we went on after that. And yeah, actually I was getting off the front, so it was very acoustic biased at that
And this
stage.
was the basic music box type rhythm that Michael plays, right? You started, I noticed it, and flows through all your albums.
Yeah, some of it, with the picking of some.
Right.
That was Michael and Anthony, and it was a sort of interweaving
Right. This is
12-string
To
thing.
me, your sort of standout landmark.
Yeah, it's one of the bases, is bassy, whatever, for the acoustic areas. And at that time, there was no one else doing it. There was certainly, at the time when we began to incorporate electric things in, no sort of, no one really working on a combination. There was a bit, sort of, you had your heavy band maybe who would do the odd acoustic number, or the acoustic band would do the odd electric number, but to the best of our knowledge there wasn't anyone else actually trying to work them together. And we found that the things that we got most pleasure from in the music were things that had a lot of contrast in them. Things where you went from whatever it is, slow and quiet to fast and loud, being your basic difference, and altogether really working on trying to feel and isolate different tones from the music, from all the different sounds we had access to, and these we would then place according to contrast and within a whole. And this also suited the type of lyrics that we got interested in, which was sort of
Right, this is what I'm
this
saying.
fantasy type.
Right, making up little individual stories and taking
Yeah,
away.
right, because as different little scenes happened or characters emerged, you could portray them with different sounds.
Exactly. The most beautiful to me, as far as all the works go, has been Cinema Show.
Yeah.
I enjoy that. As soon as I get enough money as I can, I plan to do a cartoon Fantasia type deal for that.
Yeah.
I have it all figured out. I have it all figured out. Walt Disney type of things. This is beautiful. The music is, it's imagery from the beginning to the end. And I really enjoy it. Who writes most of the music? There is
It is genuinely, sort of a
conglomeration.
cooperative. I mean, people tend to think that I write lyrics and Tony writes music. That isn't, more than other people, but and that's just not true. It's sort of cooperative effort all round, and when it works well, there's a situation whereby each musician will listen and try out other ideas from other people on his own instrument, and that's very important because it enables one person's style and taste to cross over into another's. On a bad day, you don't see any of that, but on a good day, when we have a common objective to work for.
Now, from the first album to Trespass, to me, it was the biggest jump as far as perfecting music and making a name for yourself. What decided, or what made you decide after the first album, like to go professional? Had you been playing clubs frequently up to the first album?
No, we hadn't done any dates at all. Only because we wanted to try and write sort of music that no one else was going to record. So we thought, well, if anyone's going to hear this besides ourselves, we've got to go out and play it. So that's when we started borrowing money from friends and families and such like. And and we did our country cottage bit. We thought one of the prerequisites of English band music success was a spell in the country cottage.
So you all lived together?
So we all lived together and hated it.
Yeah, right. Too much, right?
Yeah, you're on top of each other 24 hours a day, and it's an unhealthy situation.
Now, was this with John Mayhew, the drummer, first drummer?
John and Anthony Burks on guitar.
Right, and then the very first album, did you play drums?
No. John Silver and Chris Stewart did.
John Silver?
Yeah. He left to come over to Cornell University, and Chris Stewart left after the first.
What made you decide to...
Was that okay?
Everything other than the fact that I almost smashed the police car broadside, but other than that, everything's cool. Whew! I prayed. I'm sorry. He was mad.
Carry on, kind of see. What made you decide to dismember?
I like that.
John Mayhew.
Well,
to add for Phil.
to be perfectly frank and honest, there was the feeling that John, although he was, proficient once he got hold of the thing, he was a slow learner.
He didn't seem to be as creative, obviously. As creative. The drumming seemed to be very, almost to the word. The parts seemed to have been written out.
Well, it was a bit like that, some of the things, like, because I used to be a drummer, I would suggest to him. And sometimes it worked, but it was just the feeling that we had a whole batch of new material, we had to find a new guitarist, and he was sort of a bit like carrying someone slightly slower than the rest of you. I think he could probably do a good job with a lot of other bands, but...
Did he go on, do you know?
Well, he apparently came out to Canada, but we haven't seen him since about a year or so. We auditioned for drums as well, and I'm really, very glad we did, because Phil is really excellent.
Right. Was he playing in a previous band?
He was playing in a band called Flaming Youth, which
Flaming Youth?
Yeah. It was a another band marketed for huge commercial success and fading dismally.
What made you switch from Decca from your first album to, what was it, Impulse, I do believe?
Well, it was Charisma, but I mean, Charisma then distributed through ABC Impulse out here.
I see. So it was Charisma after all.
Yeah, but the reason was that, you know, Decca, you're purely commodities. Some people in there, all they knew Genesis was that there might have been a band on their books called the Janitors. That's about as far as they got. And 20 copies of the record came out one end of the factory and was sent back a couple of months later.
The album didn't sell?
The album didn't sell. That is correct. And so we went for Charisma because we liked Strat and he'd worked with the Nice, you know, we liked, and we had various offers. Initially, you know, we could get no one interested at all. After about 6 months, hawking tapes around, learning the art of salesmanship.
This was the Trespass tapes?
Not really. Some tapes we were trying to do for a BBC television programme. It was never shown. It was our first time actually that we'd seen some paintings and tried to work off those.
Was this like a soundtrack music tape?
Yeah, it would have been. And it's mainly those tapes that we played initially to try and get the people to come and see us live, you know.
Right.
How did you like In Concert? How that was handled?
Midnight Special was.
Right, Midnight Special.
Well, they were good to us in that they gave us a lot more time than
most groups usually have, because your numbers are longer.
Yeah, but I mean, actually in preparing it, you know.
Right.
We were on with,
the setting.
yeah, we were recording at the same time as James Gang and a few others. And I mean, we had about 4 hours or something, and everyone else had about half an hour.
The James Gang are from here.
Are they?
Yeah, they used to play at my old university.
All right.
That's where they started.
We used to throw pennies at them in high school.
Huh.
They were so bad. Now I wish I had their money.
Right. Give me a little bit.
But no, I won't take it. Yeah, so I mean, I think really for us to be happy with it, we'd have to control it. You know, television. And I think something that we could do well, videotape, video cassettes.
Like
we'd like to work with cartoons.
Cartoon?
Very much, yeah.
That'd be great. That'd be great.
That's the only way you could do it right.
Yeah.
Yeah.
A lot of the images are just, you know, especially the characters.
Right. That's more suited for cartoon than anything else.
Something along the lines of the Yellow Submarine?
Yeah, no, I mean, I like Yellow Submarine, but I think we could extend that into a sort of more surrealistic vein, but still retaining its basic sort of kids type appeal and sense of humour.
Did you see Fantasia?
No, something I've always meant to see. I've seen pretty well all of his other films, cartoons.
Yeah, right. That's probably the biggest, I think, as far as almost a law for any musician to see.
Yeah.
Really, because it explains it to the fullest how musicians feel, and the images produced in your music as the classics, you know, did. They wrote, you know, it's almost, this is one thing that I enjoy about Genesis so much is the almost bringing back of the classics, because a lot of the original classics, as you probably well know, were written to ballets and to dance, you know, and there was the music to go along with the play type thing.
Yeah.
And this is one thing I enjoy, and it's one thing I think you've accomplished. A few things, just for our own knowledge. Who wrote Harold the Barrel?
Oh, I did.
Did you?
Yeah.
Can you play it
as much?
Did you play the piano on it?
Yeah, well, I wrote it on piano, but I don't know if I can still play it. I did it with Phil, actually, you know, like, Phil and I used to sing it with my piano at home, and I think it sounded best then, when I did it.
And you wrote the lyrics. And
yeah.
Do you write the lyrics for most of the songs? Can you say
No.
that? I mean, it's a lot easier, and especially when the music is going, most of your vocal parts are either in harmony to the music or are offset. This is another thing that makes your band unique. Your wording and your phrasing is just beautiful. And I was wondering if you wrote the lyrics, and it usually follows suit
No, I mean, I don't write all. I tend probably proportionately write more than anyone else, but we put most of our concentration on the music. You know, like sometimes, and say Fourth or Fifth is Tony's melody and Tony and Mike's words. So I sing that, and I have nothing to do with it, you know, as far as the writing of it goes.
What about Cinema Show?
Cinema Show isn't mine either. That's Tony and Mike again wrote that lyric.
Supper's Ready?
Yeah, I did that one.
That's a big one.
And,
that's what were you thinking about when you wrote that? I mean, what were you trying to come across? There are parts I diagnose it one way, I have critiqued it in newspapers one way, and in magazines another way, and everybody thinks I'm crazy because I keep switching my story about what I actually think, you know, Supper's Ready means, whether it's either just a complete head trip from the rise to the fall, or if it's a type of an Armageddon type battle between, you know, the evil and good forces.
Well, it sort of varies, and it starts off like a simple love story, a suburban sitting room, and they look into each other's eyes and they focus and slip into world number two. World number two is sort of dreamy, separate realities, Mr. Castaneda or whatever we call it. And in there there's a village and a benevolent farmer and a malevolent fireman who's busy lighting fires around the village. And the two lovers just watch, they're just observers, and they see the fireman turn into a peacemaker, imitating JC and pulling out his troops from out of the ground, winning the local people's confidence first. And then they see the battle, and after the battle, the slaughter, they climb up all the mountain of human flesh,
Right.
cross over a plateau of green grass, over the top of a little hill, and they see this pool, and there's a figure at the pool, and they see that he's studying something in the water, so they go up. And as soon as they see that it's himself that's studying his own reflection, the whole thing, Narcissus turned to a fire. The whole thing falls out. It falls into the pool, and then when they get out, clamber out again, Narcissus has changed to a flower, and they're willow farm, which is a sort of great Technicolor cartoon.
This is like almost an Alice in Wonderland type falling into the pool, and this is like an underworld of fantasy.
Yeah, that sort of thing. But it's, again, separate reality, if you see what I mean. Here everything's going really fast, and changes are, with any constant is a state of change. And as things are going bang, 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 the whistle will blow, and each figure, character in the farm will evolve one more step, you know, whether it be frog to a prince, you know, sort of a cab to a symbol, I mean, it doesn't matter what. And at the end of this sort of hectic Technicolor Willow Farm sequence, they see all these characters beneath the ground, under the soil, and at this point, you know, they are, sort of, as it were, going back in time, seeing them as seeds, like Jason saw the soldiers, and they were dragon's teeth.
The Hydra.
Yeah, it could be.
Yeah. Yeah, it's the Hydra.
And this at this point they can move back into world number two, and world number two they suddenly switch into a Cecil B. DeMille production.
Oh yeah, that's so fantastic.
Of Revelation.
Yeah, that's fantastic. I've never witnessed anything like that. I'm already on my third album. I just grinded it down to nothing. You know, it just goes and goes and goes. As a matter of fact, we've spent like the past 3 years of our lives following your music so tightly. We've both have gone through college after the high school, and he was in broadcasting and I was in English and poetry, and I was going to go on and be a teacher, and we got into music, and it, actually speaking, changed our whole lives toward music. And the next thing we knew, we pooled as much money as we can, and here we are. for no apparent reason. You know, we come in here and oftentimes, and look, you know, what are we doing? You know, what are we doing here? You know, so much work that we're trying to do, writing our own music, so much pain and almost losing our girlfriends because of the time.
To mention families, do your parents think you're quite insane?
Yeah, well,
Or do they
they're accepting it by now. Initially, you know, when's he going to get a proper
Where
job?
did I go wrong?
This is the point. We're both working practically in factory now just to get money to do this, and you know, we sit here a lot of times thinking, damn Gabriel anyway, you know.
Why did he have to write that? So now we would write this.
Why did I ever have to buy that first album? No, but we don't regret it one bit, you know, I'll tell you that. And this is, like I said, one of the biggest nights. The future plans, let's say for the group, I mean, you've come a fantastic way. You're in there with the top now. You know that yourselves.
Yeah. Well, I don't know. It's very important to me. See, I felt myself that there wasn't as much band spirit on the last album as there was in the previous ones.
Yes, I felt that too.
And it's very important to me that we regain that. So as to whether that happens or not.
Do you mean by not working on a longer piece, or you just mean spirit itself?
No, I mean sort of spirit itself, you know, sort of, you know, I think it's just sort of common objective thing, you know, sort of it was very difficult when you get thrust out in the world, you know, say, there's situations like with me getting more publicity than everyone else, so people tend to think, well, you know, for me, you know, I'm putting an equal share into this, and he's getting all the publicity, you know, so I've got to prove myself in this sort of sentiment, as well as, you know, the fact that the whole thing, it's very hard not to become ego conscious when you put it into this sort of situation. And I think we're much less ego conscious for the fact that it's taken us so long, and for the fact that we've developed a very healthy cynicism towards any sort of treatment, success treatment.
This is what I'm going to, you know, I was going to say, like, let's say on the first Trespass album, where even on Nursery Crime, how did audiences' response to this, you know, to this different kind of music? I mean,
basically, you know,
created your own.
There was dismal reactions, you know, except for one or two clubs in Belgium. Belgium, we had a #1 album with Trespass.
Fantastic.
Did you get very discouraged?
Well, there's always enough to keep us going. There's this club in Aylesbury called Friars, and that was really nice club. In fact, they warmed to Bowie before anyone else did, and there's a really warm audience. And if you sort of went amongst them and talked to them and so on.
Now, did you find the manager right away with the first?
We went through various troubles with managers, you know, sort of.
Because it seems
not finding what we want. I mean, we have got what we want now. Is the guy called Tony Smith. Because either you get sort of guys who have less power, effectively, you know, and you do need power initially, you know, to get a record contract, to get the gigs, even, you know, you really do need bargaining power, you know. Well, I'll get you this big act if you take my little baby, you know. And so either we had sort of small people who didn't have that sort of clout, or else we had people who were prepared to devote enough time to the thing.
What brought about the theatrics? Did you always have this from the beginning, or did you
Not so much. I mean, I used to do a certain amount with my hands, just to try and get across the subjects, but it's basically the fact that there we were singing with lousy PAs, getting, you know, 10% of the words across.
Right.
We were writing stories, and none of the stories were getting across, so, you know, what was the point?
Right.
So I tried, you know, to act some of those things out.
What were some of the first, you know, because, I mean, you weren't in America, at least we didn't see some of the first costumes or things like that, but just for curiosity's sake.
There's one with just trying to pull out the character on Foxtrot, which with a red dress and fox mask, and that was really stuck on. It wasn't so much coming out of the stories, but you know, I was with my hands and a certain amount of makeup, you know, I found it easier to try and get into the different characters.
When did you use that in the album, and let's say in concert?
I used it in music books, in fact, which was
the red dress and the fox hat.
yeah, which is really the wrong place. But,
Whatever, put it there.
well, because I needed somewhere where I could have long enough to change, you know, because it was the first time I'd been off stage and come back on in another thing, and I was really paranoid about it.
I mean, you put it
There was
on.
long enough guitar solo in music box.
You mean at the beginning?
No, I put it on where I changed the old man. I mean, I knew there was, I mean, there's a transition, right, written into the lyrics, but it should be to an old man's spirit. So here I thought, well, okay, so that spirit's a bit
Weird.
a bit weird. It's a transvestite spirit with a fox head.
I don't understand.
So
don't understand, yeah, right.
So what the hell? Yeah, listen to
You don't understand what's going on anyway, so it doesn't matter.
One thing I hope that, you know, I don't know how your manager felt about the audience tonight. I knew there were some hecklers there.
I almost smashed 2 guys.
Yeah, we almost get killed by shutting people up, because one thing that's very important to us is that Genesis keeps coming back to Cleveland. And so we can, you know, talk to you again and again, and just keep up and see how the band is going, how everybody is. On the new album, Song in England, did you have most of the songs written, let's say, during Mike's track?
No. We didn't have much material. It was pretty well all written in the summer, and except for, you know, a lot of the material starts off in individuals' ideas, and these were floating about, but in this sort of old group basis, it wasn't there till the summer. Right?
Was it a forced thing by, let's say, Charisma saying, you know, you have to have an album out by this time?
No. I mean, it was just the time we had to spend on the road previous to that, you know. We'd like to do them sooner than that, you know, because we get the most pleasure from writing and recording, less from actually touting the stuff around on the road. But you know, it's just money.
Yeah.
Do the record companies promote a tour like this and say you are granted so much money upon a certain percentage that you will make? Or do you have to back the whole thing yourself? Say, sign your life away, say, well, we'll fund the whole thing.
Well, we try to keep out from a situation where we're personally liable. Unfortunately, we are at the moment. And so we could go bankrupt if we broke up today. But
Really, huh? I heard tell that you were losing money on the last tour.
on the last tour we did, yeah. And some of that was supplemented by the record company. And some, you know, previous tours. So it do definitely help, but you can only expect, you know, sort of half your loss, maybe at the most, to be met.
What was the at fault why you did lose money? Was it the setup, the equipment that you had, more roadies?
Yes, partly the way the tour was built too, you know.
Also the market, you weren't playing to places where you were strong.
Well, there weren't that many places where we were strong.
That's true.
And we were trying to do a presentation that was, you know, quite expensive to carry on, and we were not going to support people, basically, because we wouldn't have been able to do the sort of thing we wanted to do. So in order for us, you know, to live up to our own ideals, really we had to be prepared to go into that situation where we wouldn't make money at all.
Is every member in the group married?
No, Phil isn't.
Phil isn't married.
And Mike.
And like, do you always take your wives with you on the tours, or is this?
We do not. Well, you see, I mean, I've been in the last 6 months, 2 weeks at home. So she wasn't with me, you know.
Right.
No point being married in the first place.
That's what is it really hard? I mean, I'm not in a situation now, or I don't know if I ever will be, but I'm saying has she accepted you fully as a musician that this could go on for X amount of years, or is there?
Well, to some extent. I mean, there's never sort of, it's not an ideal situation, and you know, like for many people, obviously, it is, but and every situation has its drawbacks, and just the fact that one can't really establish any sort of home life or social life at home, you know, with friends and people, that is a big hang-up. And then you get maybe to the stage we are now, where people begin to react to you in a way that isn't the same as they would to anyone.
Superficially, because
yeah, well,
you're a rock star now.
And whatever it is, you know, if you're getting publicity, you're famous or whatever else, they just treat you differently. You know, you're more sort of objective.
How long have you been married?
I've been married about 2 years, 3 years.
So she knew you were into the music actually before she knew what she was getting into.
Well, yeah, I mean, it was still a very amateur thing.
All right. Oh, that's right. It was just around England.
Yeah, I mean, the idea quite appealed to her initially, being married to a successful rock and roll star. You know, our walls were covered with pictures of Mick Jagger and all the rest. Well, and this is when she's 16, 15.
Yeah, so, right.
Because I knew a long time ago. But then when it actually happens, you know, so it's not quite the same situation.
How's
spouse has been waylaid by groupies and such like. All this sort of,
that's hard to take, I can imagine.
Accessories of the rock and roll situation.
How's the album selling in England? The newest?
We're selling well at the moment because we have our first top 30 hit after 7 years later than our original intention to have one. But
this is Wardrobe, right?
Yeah.
Why that? Out of all the songs?
Well, the record company thought it could sell, and you know, we tend to look upon it as a means of advertising the albums, really. We don't take it very seriously, although, you know, I think a good single can be very difficult and good art form.
What,
you know, for us, so far it's just been, you know, we'll go with what the record company thinks they can advertise the rest of it with.
You put on the flip side of that, the Ale House, right? And you never released this on anything else. Was that was written
earlier? It was given away free with a program, yes, but I need to take this magic throat pastel.
Do you have a sore throat?
Yeah.
You want to give some wine to drown it down?
No, that's right.
Oh, you're sucking at it.
Yes, right, I didn't.
Where was I?
You were at the single.
Yeah, right. You had The Silent Sun? Was that a single?
Yeah, that was a single with Decca.
This was on the first album. Yeah, because I heard, I don't know if it was then or now, but sometime during this period, that it's a prerequisite now since the vinyl shortage. But to have a single before you cut an album, did this have anything to do with the single or not?
Partly, you know, I mean...
especially for new groups, I don't know, maybe because, you know, you had...
Yeah, that's right. We were thought of then, too, more as a singles band rather than an album. And because the material we were writing didn't seem that commercial as singles, I just had to use it for an album.
Right. Well, I suppose we'll take it back. I know you're tired and really beat. You want to get back. We have one last gift. We want to give to you here. We wish we had a lot more time, and we wish you could have had Tony up here. We would have liked to have played you a couple of our songs. Not for any special reason other than we've never gotten out of this room. You know, we've never played to anybody or for anybody. And we thought, well, maybe we should go out to the bars right away, and maybe we should have local other bands in here. We decided, well, why don't we wait and, you know, talk to the top? And I mean, you know, you are Beethoven and Bach of our contemporaries, and we decided
You're making me nervous.
to go straight to the top, and this is the reason you're here. But I know time is short.
Well, have you got any tapes or something? Because, I mean,
yeah, we'll have you write down your address.
All right.
We have nothing of quality right now. We did do a tape that I engineered, but it's hard to play lead and engineer a tape at the same time.
Yeah.
And it didn't quite turn out the way we expected. And it wasn't the quality that I wanted. I wanted the best quality, and so it's going to be a while.
before we can devise
Yeah.
a system where we can get a decent quality tape made. And when we do, we love, to send you a copy.
Yeah.
And,
Along with that too, we really don't have a band. It's just the two of us.
Yeah.
And
I think it's worth, playing out. I mean, we find it really beneficial because
yeah, well, this is the way
it's very easy when you're in an isolated situation on a sort of island to build up illusions about what you're doing, or when we're in the cottage, we sort of got a lot of ideas on. We thought, this will do such and such and so and so. It's a great leveler when you actually go out and play this stuff, and you can see where you hold people's interest and where you lose it. I mean, whether you want to ignore that or not is then up to you, but it's useful to see how much is getting across to people, I think. And it's also a good experience of sort of tightening things up and getting
any kind of professional attitude.
Giving a sort of I don't know, it's sort of overall outlook, I suppose. And ours changed a lot. I mean, we were very sort of idealistic and pink glasses and all the rest. Rose-colored glasses, that's what I mean. Never get these expressions.
edit that out.
Right. So,
you did the cottage bit then before you went out,
yeah.
right?
But and the early gigs are really very, very useful, and because when you on the bits that there are certain things are obviously going to hold an audience because they're loud and they can stamp their feet or clap their hands, whatever it is.
Or yell out obscenities.
Yeah.
Well, this is
or else, but then too you begin to maybe feel the places in the bits that you're not expecting it. So the acoustic bits or the quiet bits or the sort of more dreamier bits, the less solid rhythmic things. And to learn which parts of those are working or not is really very useful. I'm not really saying that you should cater for the audience and what you do, but
well, this is
it's a useful, very useful factor.
But I'm saying you didn't start out doing other people's music, so
no, we did.
So
right at the very beginning at school.
Did you?
We wanted to.
Yeah.
And that was really got a hold on me. We used to.
I would have loved to see that one.
Yeah.
You
And,
tape it now and make $1 million out of it.
What was this? I think there was Otis Redding, a couple of Otis Redding things.
Dock of the Bay or something?
Change Gonna Come. And they were sort of the slower things.
Yeah.
Some blues numbers. John Mayall things.
I was in England a couple summers ago for a couple months, and the caverns that I frequented, somewhat similar to here as far as the gibberish and the drinking and the clinking of the glasses and this. I'm just wondering if you started out in the clubs, and people a lot of times go to clubs either because they're depressed, they want to get drunk, they want to meet people, they want to pick up girls, something
I'm not
like
interested.
that. Pardon?
And they're not interested.
Right, they're not interested in the band.
Yeah.
Right, I'm saying they're talking now and they're not really
Right.
listening. I mean, how did you, was it just a...
Well, there was one time we had, when we were doing a selection of sets, we did an acoustic set, about 40 minutes acoustic, upstairs at a big ball, where they had several rooms, bands, brass bands and all this. And we collected about 60 to 100 people in that room. And it was the first time we'd really got a sort of magical atmosphere on all the quiet numbers.
Yeah.
And it was
Just a hush.
really one of the most exciting things, ever
Yeah.
for us, because it was a real breakthrough, after about a year of playing these numbers and getting sneered at, laughed at, or
Right.
let's boogie, or play some rock and roll, or do you know any Jimi Hendrix numbers, this sort of thing.
How old are you now?
24.
24. So you did that first album at 16, you were 18? So
Yes, something like
16,
60.
We're getting old.
That's
We're getting old.
we're just
don't
about
know.
that. It's a wonderful thing that you could make it this young. You know?
Yeah, it's very, well, make a record, not make it.
Do you think that sold you instead of yourselves? Is this what you're saying?
So that,
Or make a record for yourself? Is this what you meant?
no, I mean, sorry, yeah, I mean, right, it was more that we were lucky just to be in a situation where we could record rather than, because there was no success and no one listening to it really.
Do you think there'll ever come a time when you can say, sit back and say, well, we're secure and we're accepted and you know that you're solid for sure? I mean, the way we look at it now, we think that time has come to you.
Yeah, I know. I mean, I think if you start then repeating your former glories, that's what you do, you know, and if it becomes too comfortable, life too full of sofas, then you should abandon it, I think, probably. Whether we will is quite another question.
Is there any particular area of friction in the band, or is it just the whole band spirit, or is there only one person?
No, there are areas of friction, and but generally those can be overcome because there's enough sort of mutual respect. But you know, every single album I've done, we've gone into not certain that we're going to come out the other side.
Right. Will you be touring? Will you be doing a tour in England when you get back, or will you be resting now once you get back from America?
2 weeks holiday, then we start the album.
You start a new
about a
album?
week holiday now, I think it is now.
A new album?
Yeah,
Have you written the material?
only bits of it.
Will it be a total theme or will it be individual songs?
This is a good point we're discussing this morning. And I got some ideas that I can sell them. It just remains to be seen.
Have you, well, if you can sell, Supper's ready. You can sell anything. Because like you said, I mean, even explaining the bits of it, you know, to what you have to me today, I guess every audience gets what they want out of it. This is the only thing, you know. So I mean, it's
Yeah, I would like to
beautiful
make.
music.
I would like to make the first story part of it feel, you know, a bit more clear than it
Right.
turned out to be. But
Have you heard tales of topographic oceans?
only little bits.
Only bits of it. It's a biggie. You know, I'm
Yeah.
talking about the conceptual thing. You know, if you were interested in doing that, it
You
seems to
get
be.
terrible reviews. The critics tore it apart.
What did you think of it?
I love it.
I mean, I'd be, you know, the people in the band that have listened to it, there's sort of two sides to it. And
Well, you were into some kind of yoga or religion thing, weren't you?
yeah, no, it's still.
It seems Anderson is too. Maybe you'd be on a higher level of understanding. I don't know than the rest of your musicians, but I mean, it's the theme that runs through the whole album. It's this mystical thing of the Chinese religions that is their central theme through all four sides. And, maybe it's maybe you dig it.
Actually, it's a kind of album, well, the first time I heard Foxtrot, that is an album where I think most of the critics, they put the needle on, they let it through, they run it through once, and they write up an article. Well, what they should do is put the needle on, let it run 10 times, and listen to it, and read what it's saying, and then make a judgment of it. And Topographic is that kind of album. I think you have to listen to it more than once to get everything out of it.
Don't believe it. Where are you going? Dash across the home. Oh, so nobody will believe it. Just everywhere.
What? And look at the lights. I'll take a picture too.
Let's hope you get a few pictures of the.
I've got I hope this camera works and never has when I needed it. You know, for some reason I can take a picture of a tree 1,000 times, but every time I come to one of your concerts, it locks.